killer, funk killer, funk killer, funk killer.
I go show you wonder, what you wonderful. You not go believe what you want happen. No disturbance when the bed do one catch you. It's like you dey sleep, but this one pass.
My name is UK and I'm your host, the host of the Hit Breakfast Show on Hit FM 95.9. Well, as I told you earlier, something really amazing is happening this morning, something very, very interesting, because we have the rare privilege of having a man who is no stranger to Hit FM and the Hit Breakfast Show. We have the rare privilege of having him in the studio on his birthday anniversary. Now, that's something that we've not had before. And every time we have him in the studio, we are doing some bass balls, talking about the polity and how he's hitting up the polity and the actions and the inactions. Well, today, I decided that we're going to do something really different and take him off guard. And let's see if he's as good at relaxing as he is as good at talking about the political issues affecting the Nigerian system. Ladies and gentlemen, our guest on the Hit Breakfast Show this morning is Ntufam Hilliard Eta of the APC, former acting national chairman of the party and former vice chairman South APC. Ntufam Hilliard Eta, a very good morning to you. Welcome to the Hit Breakfast Show.
Good morning, UK, and thank you for a wonderful reception.
Well, we would have done more, you know, if we had the prowess that Tiwa Savage or Celine Dion had. We would have done some melodious choir for you, but we don't. This is where our talent ends. So just stick to this. Ntufam, I promised our listeners that we're going to throw you off. We're going to throw you off today, and that's what I want to do. Let's just get talking. First off, today is a special day, but leading up to the time when we got to know you, for those of us who met you at the level of Vice Chairman South of the APC, for those of us who got to know you when you're already, doing great things in the world of politics, we want to take a step back and get to know Hilliard before he became the personality that he is today. So let's go back to your boyhood. How was it like for you? Did you grow up in Cross River State? Tell us about yourself, basically. If you introduce yourself to people for the first time, what would you say?
Thank you very much. It's not as easy talking about oneself as talking about the issues
political
issues of our society. In any case, I was born into the family of Dr. Young Eta. He was a pastor, a clergyman.
Really?
And my mother, Mrs. Elizabeth Eta, was a school teacher. I spent my first 8 years in a little village in Uran local government area of Akwa Ibom State called Ndon Ebom. I think I came back when I was in primary 2 and continued my primary education in A.M. Zion Primary School, Diamond Hill, and then went on to the famous Hope Waddell Training Institute,
okay,
for which I am very proud of. I believe that whatever I have become in life is the basic training, the basic education that I got from Hope Waddell Training Institute. And from then on, I went to the School of Basic Studies in Akampa, and then went on to a school in Chandigarh in Punjab in India. And I came back, but let me also throw you a little off balance.
Okay, I'd love to see you try.
You see, politics hasn't ever been far away from me.
Really?
Yes, as a 17-year-old, I started out as a politician, a baby politician, and I've been there.
At 17?
Yes, at 17.
I'd like you to throw more light on this. How exactly did that happen? What was that about?
Well, let me say that in the time of NPN, UPN, GNPP, and the rest, my father, even though a clergyman, was very interested in the goings-on in our society. And so he was far more tended towards the conservative NPN. And being a rebellious teenager, I thought it was old-fashioned. So I started to dig out some information. I did some research on those who were in the NPN as opposed to those who were in the UPN. And I found the personality of Chief Obafemi Awolowo very interesting. So I started reading his books even at that young age. I was enthralled. I was excited. So I decided to join the youth wing of the UPN as a 17-year-old.
While your father was involved in...
No, he was not involved, but he had... Yes,
affiliations.
He had some passion
for the
and
NPN.
some love. He thought that the NPN was a more pan-Nigerian political organization and that the UPN was sectional and Yorubaized. Mm-hmm. And for me, I was drawn by the political expositions of Chief Obafemi Awolowo when he talked about fiscal federalism, he talked about social interventions, exactly what my party is doing at this moment. He was of the opinion that the vulnerable of the society must be taken along in the developmental process of society. And that resonated with me because I had always felt that society must do more than just moving forward. Society must look back at those who cannot join in the rat race and see how society can also carry them, you know. And that exactly was. So I had a very wonderful youth. I experienced a lot of things. My father was an interesting character. My father was a disciplinarian, a very tough.
Ntufam, hearing you talk about your early days, your boyhood now, it doesn't sound very different from the Ntufam that we know, because you choosing to go against the norm, you choosing to question things and, go to paths that many people may not necessarily want to tread at that time, and just basically contesting the norm, as you've said. It doesn't sound, is that where you grew? Is that how you grew your determination?
Yes.
And what many people have described, many have described as doggedness and stubbornness. Is that where it came from?
Yes, I think so. I think my father was a very, very courageous man. He could speak truth to anyone at all. I remember that the former governor of Cross River State then, Chief Dr. Clement Ison, was a member of our church. And I could see my father on the pulpit tell him, especially there was an occasion where there was a scandal, a financial scandal in government, and I was literally jumping out of my skin as a little boy, see him speak some very raw truth to the governor, and I learned a lot from that. I knew that society cannot move without attrition, that society cannot move, especially when you have total consensus. There must be some attrition to be able to push. For instance, what propels my political philosophy is that we are co-creators with God. All right, He created us as co-creators with Him. Someone must have felt the unpleasantness of darkness and so thought about creating electricity. Do you understand?
Okay.
It is because of his disagreement with darkness that made for him to think about light. You get what I'm saying? People used to sleep on the ground, on the floor, anywhere they could find, until somebody sat down and looked at the tree and said, I will not sleep on this floor again. I'm going to make a bed out of this tree. So you see, my philosophy of life was pummeled by my association with my father. And again, when I came into politics, I came into contact with a man called Ntufam Hilliard, who grilled me in the ideology of always having the human person at the epicenter of all policies. So I started as a pupil politician on the side of the people. And I made a pact with my God that I am going to remain on the side of the people regardless of the ups and downs of politics.